morning I said I would do a live either when I was walking the dogs or when I was on the veranda on the deck at home. So what I've done is I've walked home, and on the way home met another one of my neighbours, in God's grace. And so I'm home even later because we were talking for getting to know each other for about 30 or something minutes. Another old lady who lives on her own. I'm not calling myself old lady. She's actually in her mid 80s or something. But she was just talking to me about the process of not knowing anyone to look after a property when she's not around, or she knows less and less people because the house next door to the guy does fly at work and his wife lives in another country, and the house next door just sold and she doesn't know who the new neighbours are. Because I basically said, oh, hello ma'am, I'm gave her my address. I moved here 17 months ago. Lovely to get to know you. It's always really nice getting to know the neighbours, rah rah. She goes, yes it is, blah blah. That's how that conversation started. And then it went on and on to the point where swapping numbers. She couldn't remember a number, and she came out of her house to check the mail at a time when the sun was up, and then the sun went down out away and she started shivering. So we're going to swap numbers later, but we've got each other's addresses and all that sort of stuff. So that's really beautiful. So that's one of the reasons why I'm just that little bit later getting here to the dogs. And then what actually happened was I was working out the rest of my day with my counsellor, and I've still got one more session with her, which is really cool. Today we talked about lots. It was good. Anyways, I'm not sure how much of that I will cover in today's live. So much of what I've learned has been through this counsellor, this amazing lady. She's such a great counsellor. I really haven't. She's Christian and trauma informed, makes such a difference. Alvanzina, come on. So basically, was explaining to Rachel, my counsellor, how the rest of the day was going to look, because I let her know about my seasonal deficiency disorder and how grey days crap for me to feel like depressed, but it's just environmental depression. Also, it's my women's time. I'm really heavily menstruating and premenopausal, so my hormones go out of whack really quick. Finding this time of the month drains me in a way it never used to. So yep, with the Zena, she just shook her wetness all over me. Anyways, she shook all over me. So we're talking about my self-care and what I was going to do with the rest of the day, and I said I really feel like I need to start lighting the fire soon. It's getting really cold in the house at night, and that involves chopping wood. And this little wrist of mine here, it's very injured. It's been injured for about 3 weeks. It's really hard to use. It's an old aged care industry, because in aged care we don't have enough, always understaffed, so many injuries. A lot of my injuries are from working in aged care, and they seem to get worse in winter, arthritic almost. So I'm really scared about the process of chopping wood with this wrist. So you can all pray for that right wrist, because I actually have to chop some wood to light the fire to get the house warm. Unless I reach out to this beautiful friend of mine, Victor, who has told me I can ring him whenever I need manly help. I got him to help me unload a window the other day off the ute, and that was really nice. I tried to get off myself, and I was like, no, I'm going to break the window. So I rang him, he came straight away. So if I rang him to say, could you please chop me some wood, and could you please help me put the evaporative cover on the top so that I've got my exquisite beloved and I, our home has a evaporative air conditioner, which means it's got this big vent on the top of the roof, and in summer it lets all the cool air come through, and you turn the air with the water process actually cools the house down so effectively. It's so effective. But in winter you have to shut it down so it's keep all the cold air out. So, but with my vertigo, which by the way everyone has reduced significantly, I have not had a major vertigo attack for weeks now. It's been really, I've had mild bits of it. It happens a lot when I drive, unfortunately. I'm really used to, as I'm driving, I feel like I'm falling backwards and I'm going forward, backwards and down, but I'm just going with the feeling. It's like with my tinnitus, my left ear is constantly high-pitched ringing. Like, that's the sound I hear in my left ear. It's awful. But I block it out. I did this white noise treatment therapy. They had me in a completely silent cubicle. So all I could hear was that sound. They did all this stuff. It was to train my brain to see that noise as not a threat, which then helps my brain not even hear it, which means most of the time I don't even hear it. But sometimes it's extra loud, like today, it's really loud today. But anyways, I'm doing the same thing with the vertigo. I'm training my brain not to stress about the vertigo, to realise I'm not dizzy, I'm not falling. It's just something wrong with my balance inside my head. So I'm going to climb this roof myself to put the evaporative on, or ask Victor if he'll do it, and he'll probably say yes, of course. Because he got really upset with me the other day when he said, I've told you I want to help you. You don't reach out enough. I said, I don't feel ready to do the retic. I don't feel ready to dig up the yard yet. I don't feel ready to dig the ground. I just can only do so much, I will ask you, I promise I will ask you for help. So I think I'm going to ring him. This is a big deal for me. We were talking about this at the counselling today, and I was talking about it with a heap of friends as well recently, that because I've spent most of my life having to do everything pretty much on my own and never been able to rely on anyone, like I couldn't rely on parents, adults, a system. There's only been a few times in my life where I've really, really known that someone had my back. So now I know God's got my back. Yeah. That's the beauty of being a Christian, everyone. That's what I'm saying. If you step up and surrender to God, oh gosh, so much of our anxiety just leaves, because when we know God's got our back, we can just immediately soften a bit, relax a bit. And when we're a female, we can go into that femininity and actually just be a female and be vulnerable, knowing that we're safe and knowing our Father God has got our back. Oh, it's just that's a balance. And that's where we're going to get onto the purging, surrendering and releasing process. Because I believe it only happens when we feel safe, when we know we're safe. Like, it only happens to that really deep, cathartic, transmuting level when we're truly safe. I'm coming to realise that all human beings are fallible. Very few human beings have got our back the way we really need for our back to be gotten. I'm someone that has people's backs like next level, and I kept thinking that, or believing, living my life like everyone lived like that. Everyone had integrity and consideration and care and honourable, honoured their word and blah, blah, blah. Come on. And I realised very few people understand what true being of service really means, or true commitment, honourability really means. People I've met so far, but I'm meeting more and more people that seem to understand what integrity really means. So that particular topic aside for the moment, in my winter, tonight's a cold night, I'm going to light the fire, talking to my counsellor about my self-care for today, because I've actually got depression today because of the grey sky. It's like a chemical depression, it's a depression that kicks in when the sky's grey. It happens. I can't control it. It just happens. What I can control is not falling to fear about it. Actually going, oh, look at that beautiful sky. Look at all those different shades and hues. Look at that purple and that, like really seeing the beauty in it, which is one of my beautiful dear friends who loves winter skies taught me. So the winter skies are beautiful. And I was like, okay, I'll try to see it the way you see it. So she helped me not be so scared of the greyness. Now, and also one thing I do know is that when I was around the 1 to 3 mark, when a lot of the incest occurred, not just incest, but ritualized satanical incest. It wasn't incest in that regard because there was other people, not just my father. But a lot of that happened when we were in Germany, and it was winter because the trees had no leaves. So I would say there was a lot of grey skies. So it might not, for all I know, maybe I have fear around. Stay now. For all I know, maybe this grey skies is, and that fear is related to trauma. Check this old fireplace out here that came when the floods. Just bloop, bloop, that would have come down at like 100 k's an hour or something. Looks to me like it's an old stove. Pretty amazing, hey? So yeah, the grey sky thing, self-care, looking at ways to get through the day, talking to my counsellor about how I'm going to get through the day, and let her know that I'm going to light the fire tonight because it gives warmth to the house and there's that orange glow, and it's good. I'm getting heads up. I've got to get another load of wood to get through winter, and we're probably going to have to get 3 or 4 loads of wood, but I've got enough wood to get me through the first couple of weeks of winter, but then I'm going to run out really fast. And I've noticed a lot of people got fires going already, so it is cold enough for fires now. The house will be warmer, more cozy. It'll make a difference. It'll make a huge difference. So I was talking about that, and then I was saying to her how with my women's time, seasonal deficiency disorder, I just feel like I don't have any motivation today. And she goes, well, just relax, just have a day of just watching a movie in front of your fire. Oh, okay, I'll walk the dogs and then go home and just have a relaxed day. And then, so amazing, because I'm walking out from the counselling, and the receptionist is a lady who also goes to Bible study with me. She goes, so see Bible study tonight, Nadina? And I'm like, oh gosh, that's right, it's Tuesday. Because I knew it was Tuesday, because Tuesday's the day of my appointment. But I completely forgot. Didn't even register. Tuesday night is my Bible study night. Like, how could I forget that? Good Lord. So thankfully she reminded me. And then she said, well, tonight we're meeting, if you want to come, we're meeting at 6:30 because we're discussing the ladies' coffee night. So thank you so much for letting me know and reminding me. Otherwise I would have forgotten again. Because last Tuesday I was renovating this woman's house and got home late at my house. I just felt so tired. I completely forgot about Bible study. It's not a pattern yet. We had school holidays, you see. So anyways, Bible study tonight. So walking the dogs, and the day's not so bad. Look at that. Look at those beautiful blues in the grey. It's not a completely grey day at all. Like, is that not stunning? Look at it. What a beautiful day to be walking. Can you notice that the water's coming down? Like, even at the beginning of winter, the water's come down. Like in late summer, the water was higher because we had all that summer rain. It's quite fascinating, isn't it? So I did say to you guys a while ago that I wasn't going to do YouTubies whilst I was walking the dogs because I had to be mindful of keeping them near. But however, I've noticed that they because I didn't want to have to keep yelling out, you know, stay near, blah, 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 whistle. But they are learning, because they're getting older, they're learning to stay close enough. And I do prefer to do the YouTubes. Well, I do prefer to do the YouTubies while I'm walking the dogs, because it's doing two things. I walk the dogs and I'm doing my YouTube lives. I did say a while ago that it takes away from my reflective meditation time of what happens if I just walk and I'm not doing a live. So I don't, a lot of times I do these walks and I don't do a live, but sometimes I think, no, today I will do a live. And then when I can get home, I can just focus on whatever I've got to do at home. What I also like about these outdoor lives, even though I know this bumps up and down, is that you get to see this amazing background. I get to show you this exquisite, this exquisite vista. That's my back door. And this absolute blessing. Just wish to share it with you all. That changes. It keeps changing depending on the weather. I won't be able to walk this in a couple of months. It'll be all underwater. Okay, come on. So, yeah, back to the topic. So, yeah, tonight I've got Bible study, and it's because a beautiful acquaintance / friend reminded me, thank the Lord. Sorry. So, back to the releasing, purging, surrendering, purging, transmutation process within the grace of God's protection. This is today's topic, everyone. And it's a topic that I'm going to continue with every single live I do for quite a while, because I realise now, I have broached this topic many a time over and gone into detail a few times here and there and everywhere. Oh, look at this. They're running. Look. Whoa! Whoa! Oh, I missed them. Sorry. I have to learn to turn around quicker. Oh, they're doing massive big laps. They're going fast. Hang on a second. Okay, I'll turn this thing around. Okay, see they're right down in there. Alvin, Zena! Oh, heads pop open. Now they're going to run. Watch this. Watch the gracefulness. Come. Come on. Run. Oh, you beautiful thing. Happy. Come on, Albany. Come on. He's so graceful. Little one. So happy. Nope, not going to run. They were doing big laps before. I wanted to show you how fast they can run. So graceful. Right, next time it happens, I'll just turn around straight away. I won't even explain. I'll just do, because they run so fast. It's amazing. Yeah, it's a really big topic, everyone, and I've come to realise, especially with talking to my counsellor today, there's all these things that got brought up today, which I was just like constantly saying, thank you for that clarification, thank you for that validation. So there's a couple of things she brought up, just blew my mind. I really needed to hear. One, many of us, this is many of our problems, many of us have this problem. When we're an empath, we can fall into being a doormat. And there is a very big difference between humility and being of service and being a doormat. When you're a doormat, it's called toxic empathy. It's you're not helping or serving anyone. You're just you're assisting someone to continue terrible behaviours. You're enabling them. You're not helping that person grow at all. And at the same time, we're depleting ourselves. And no one's gaining anything from it. That people-pleasing, being of service, martyrdom, doormatty attitude / what's the other word? way of being is something that a lot of people do. We do it for many, many different reasons. Many, many different reasons why people slip into that particular way of being. And it's quite a challenging habit to get out of, because when you are a people-pleasing, really loving, kind, empathic person, and you see all these areas of where one can be a benefit, the heart wants to be a benefit, but the boundaries in the mind of ourselves don't necessarily have the skill set to achieve it in such a way where we're self-loving or honouring ourselves, and where we're actually empowering the other. So this takes this is actually a process that takes a long time to learn. I've learned a lot of those skill sets through being an aged care support worker, disability and aged care support worker, because it was part of my training. I hadn't just learned it from being a care of my autistic /alcoholic mother. I didn't just learn it because of having to bring up my sister and brother since I was 7. I haven't just learned it because of the different people I've attracted into my life I had a pattern of attracting people into my life that needed support and care, and these people got a lot of benefit from knowing me and having me in their life. When I needed something, they were unable to return the favour and give back. That was one way I learnt about, well, hang on a minute, what I'm giving to you, why are you so unable to give it back to me when I'm in need? And that was one way I had to learn about healthy boundaries, and that I didn't have them. But then I've also had to do a lot of counselling on various areas and elements in my life, especially around why do I keep attracting people into my life that aren't great, don't take advantage of me, abuse me? Why do I keep allowing abusive dynamics into my life? Why am I suffering in this position, in this area of not being honoured and respected and loved the way I know I deserve to be, and the way I am with others? On the whole, all humans are fallible, and there has been a few times in my life, I would say probably at least 20 times in my life, where I've slipped into very low density, where the demons really kicked in and crept in. That's me having lost my way, completely not myself. I'm in a place of not at all my true essence. So apart from those times, the majority of my life and the majority of how I've been has actually been, but I've got two things to say about this. In that, that upper, higher frequency way of living, however, not completely so, because of that toxic empathy, which is what I've been learning a lot about. So when we are over-giving, over-compromising, over-people-pleasing, that is not true empathy. That is not true support. That is not true being of service. That's actually toxic empathy. I don't know if you guys are interested in this. I showed it to you last week, but look, check this out. Check that out for a big kangaroo. Like, this is my foot. I'm size 6. So that's a size 5.5. That's a big bloody kangaroo. That's 2 kangaroo claws there. I think it's amazing. Seriously, I find stuff like that fascinating. So anyways, today I was learning at counselling. She says there's a very fine line between humility and being a doormat. Very fine line. And there is a very fine line between, she says, and it's within humility we step up into our godly confidence and be the godly, beautiful being and shine in that truly confident manner. That is beautiful, and that gets done with glory and with pride, with godly pride. And she clarified for me that the process of it being godly pride, in the process of humbly living within confidence, the definition is when you're accountable for every action. When one is accountable and self-responsible for every single action they have, then they are being humble. when you step out of that, and you can be completely confident in your humbleness. See, people think that if you're, I'm really good at this, they think you're being arrogant. That's not arrogance. That's actually you honouring your God's gifts. You're accepting, this is my God's gift, and with it becomes responsibilities and rights. That's humility. It's confidence. Step up into God's calling. Boof, that's amazing. Big definition, everyone. Massive big definition. Or clarification definition. So helpful for me to get that. Because as I've stepped up in my confidence, I've had people try to say, not that many, but, you know, the true blue outright narcissists, you know, they cannot handle godly people. They cannot handle people living their truth or, you know, honouring their God's gift. It just threatens every essence of their being, because they've got no character, really. They've got no sense of identity. So if you step up in a place of confidence, it's such a threat to these people. They're just like, whoa, whoa. And they love to say, you're arrogant or you're a narcissist. They love calling you, saying that if you actually have a God's gift and you're living and acting with humility, self-accountability, self-responsibility, in the truth, in humble truth of being able to declare all fallibility, every bit where we're accountable, taking our responsibility in everything that happened, completely testify to the, not just to godly law, but to human legal law. Boof. If someone's able to step up in their truth, this is my partner situation, this is what's happened, I believe a lot of this happened because this, and this. However, the bottom line is, this is the outcome, rah. Don't need to justify anything. This is just how it is. This is how I perceive this is my part, or this is, you know, when you unpack your part and you're really delving into to look at, to become learnable, teachable within our areas of fallibility, that's self-accountability. That's taking self-responsibility, and that's also humility. So that was a really good definition that my counsellor helped me realise today, because the difference between humble confidence and outright ego arrogance is that an ego-based arrogant person acts a certain way and bees a certain way to put a certain persona out, or to put a certain image out, and they're doing it from a place of, I've got to be accepted, I've got to belong, I've got to look good, I've got to do this, I've got to do that in order for this and this, because it's fear-based. It's completely fear-based. And they don't feel like that. Whoa, walking through heaps of wet sand now. I thought that was, I don't know if you can see my boots, I thought that was just sand, but it was actually half lake. Move, Alvin. Sorry, I just, oops. Sorry, I've got leather boots on, not gum boots, and I've just made them so wet. It's not what I wanted. I'm walking through a riverbed that last week was full of water. This week's sand, I thought it was safe to do that, but as you can see, it's still too much of a river, and my bootsies, as you can see, are now very wet. And now my toes are a bit wet. So that's a really amazing definition, everyone, that humbly living in confidence involves accountability. And if there's no accountability, that is then what you can call arrogance. And arrogance is of the devil. And it's false pretenses, false image. And it's all based on bravado and, blah, 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 blah. We all know that. A lot of us know that story. I've got to get out of this riverbed. A lot of us know that story, and it's horrible. It's a very slippery wet. Hang on a second. Hang on. I'm just climbing up this thing here. Oh. So basically, oh gosh, sorry about this. This is what happens when you walk the river. There's the animals. Whew. So I learned that today, and that's fantastic. Because I said to her today, sometimes I'm confused with this newfound confidence I have. Is it arrogance? I don't know. She goes, nope. Not when there's accountability. Not when it's from a place of heart. So I was like, oh, wow, thank you. The other thing we were talking about today that she said that was so fascinating for me to hear, that I think a lot of you might find fascinating, is a true empath. I already knew that true empaths feel everything, get drained by being around certain environments, rah, rah. We find it very hard to hold our energy when we're in certain environments, rah, rah. But she said something that I didn't know. Empaths have no boundaries. And that is why they're just an open heart. Their heart is just so open, and they're so receptive, and they come from such a place of love. We're not talking about toxic empathy here. A toxic empath is no different to a narcissist. They are being of service in order to be of use, because without being of use, they don't have an identity. They have to always give and do for others because they feel like if they don't do that, then what are they? Who are they? It's an identity crisis issue, rah, rah. So toxic empathy, toxic empathicness, and all the different variants of narcissism are very similar. A true empath doesn't need to be acknowledged for what they do. They just do it because they can't help it. They actually can't help it. It's like they're such an open heart. They've got living in the stance of such open heart. And my counsellor let me know that she is one as well. And she said that's why she is such a good counsellor. She said the biggest difference between her and I is she's had a very safe childhood. Very, very safe childhood. She hasn't experienced anything anywhere near anything what I've experienced. She's a really good counsellor, and through that she understands like the pain and suffering. She can get the feelings of what goes on for people who've had very traumatic upbringings. She herself has not had one, yet she still suffers with boundaries. I found this fascinating. I was like, thank you for sharing this with me. And she says, it's because my heart is so big. It's just always big. And her husband's taught her how to, it's this thing, right? It's like a zip. Imagine a banana zip, right? And you go all the way up, and you let it down a little bit. You let the zip down to here. Peekaboo, hello. And you just in general say to people, hello. And you're up to here. You only show them this part, right? And every now and again you go down to here. And you show them a little bit of your heart. Just a little bit. And then you zip it back up to the neck. And then when it's a really safe environment, when it's really the right time, then you can zip the banana skin all the way down and open it all the way out. And then you can show your true heart. E.g. my Bible study group. E.g. when you're in a safe marriage where your partner is really committed to the relationship and truly has their heart open as well. If they're not living from their heart, you know, you've got to keep things up here. You can't completely open your heart to a spouse who doesn't have their heart open. This is tragic, because I'd say most relationships, people in the relationship haven't got their heart open to each other because they haven't learned how to love themselves, and they're not doing the hard work. But there's a lot of good relationships out there where couples are. And when you see those good relationships, God's working through that couple. They are a fantastic role model and measurement tool. So her husband, my counsellor's husband, shared with her this technique of the banana skin, because his wife is an empath and he could see that she needed protection. And she told me so. My husband has always protected me. He's always stood by me. He's a strong man. He's always stood beside me. And it's given me that extra protection to be this open-hearted person. But he's teaching me skills. And she goes, I'm constantly losing my boundaries. And she shared all this stuff with me, which I needed to hear, because she says, it's not just, she goes, there's three things going on here. One, it's your upbringing, and that you were taught no boundaries, and you had your boundaries continually violated. Come on. Alvin, Zena. Alvin, Zena. Alvin, Zena. Alvin, Zena. Getting really hot now. Come on. Thank you, darling. Well done. Woohoo! Yeah. There they are. So anyways, what's actually happened is she said, one, it's the upbringing. Two, she says, I've got a super high EQ, which is emotional intelligence, super, super, super high. So I can understand and see things in people intuitively without them speaking. I don't even need people to speak to understand what's happening within them. And thus I can preempt stuff and know when to come in and Like, for example, I know when to go up to a complete stranger and I know exactly what to say, and that's God as well. I know exactly what to say and what to do, constantly getting validation, confirmation that I've, the amount of times I've inadvertently saved someone's life or inadvertently helped that person make a really good decision, and they've told me so on the time. And when they say, how do you know to say that? How do you know to do that? In the old days, I'd say I just felt a need to. Now I say, God, God let me know. Rah, rah. So that's not just me listening to God. That's also me having a high emotional IQ. But she said that's one of my gifts from God. So I got that gift given to me from God so that I could do God's chosen work. So I was deliberately given that high emotional IQ, which you can call a hypervigilance to the nth degree, due to my upbringing, due to this, due to that. We can label it scientifically, we can label it spiritually. There's other people like me out there. You'll find them and see them, and you may be one. Emotional intelligence is not super common, and that's what I've come to realise as I got older, and even today. It's actually quite a rare gift that only some of us have. And that's where I have to learn patience. Like, really got to learn patience. That I understand and see things in a way that a lot of people just don't, because they're in their minds, we talked a lot about the fear barrier that people put up. They just cannot let their fear down. But the third thing she said, so emotional EQ, really high emotional EQ, my intelligence, my environment. And the third thing that she said was, so this is to do with my empathic ability. Oh, just the way I was born, just the way I am, like my DNA makeup. So some of us just have this extra skill set. It's an innate skill set of just being able to understand emotion, pick up emotion, and as a result we understand our own to a really high level. And she said to me, when we are like a true empath, we actually have no boundaries. We actually come from such a place of heart that we're just open. We're so open that there's all sorts of things that happen. One, some people take full advantage of that. Yes, what can I get from this person, this sucker, this weak. They see it as a weakness. Two, we have people in need who don't know how to honour our boundaries, and they take too much, and we allow them to take too much, and it's up to us to learn. And that's what happens over time, and that's why we have to have honest communication and Christian fellowship to actually learn these boundaries. And the other one was, I can't remember exactly what she said now, sorry. Something about, oh yeah, the banana thing. Like we zip it down when it's right, and we just show our true glory within safe environments when it's the right time, place and person. And then we show our truth. Then we show our full truth, our full heart truth. And the rest of the time, we still show our truth. I don't know if that's that breeze, really nice breeze for me, but it might be that full truth of ours. Even if the banana skin's up to here, it's still such a blessing for everyone around us. We're like the light in the darkness for everywhere we go, even if the banana skin's up to here. So, or any of you true empaths out there, and please learn the difference between toxic empathy and true empaths, because there's a very big difference. And one of the biggest differences is a toxic empath does it because they think they have to or they should. No different to being a narcissistic abused person. You don't do it from free will or free choice or even free thinking, or you don't do it from a place of, you don't even feel good. You do it and you don't even feel good. You do it and you feel drained afterwards. You just give to anyone, even if it depletes you and you've got nothing left over. That's not true empathy, because true empathy involves one's heart is so open that we actually are truly loving ourselves. Our self-care is utmost, and then from that we can then step out and be of true service within godly grace to the world. The reason why I can speak about toxic empathy and true empathy is that I have had many times in my life where I've been a toxic empath, and I've been a pushover, a doormat, haven't had my own boundaries. I felt like I felt I could see all this pain and suffering, or that person having a hard time, or that person needed protecting, or this and this and rah rah. And it's almost like I felt like it was my duty to be there to help the other, to be of service to the other, even if it was a detriment to myself. For example, I gave this lady $50 once. The last of my money went a week and a half with no money. So I went a week and a half with no money because I felt like I had to give this woman some money. Why? There's services out there that could have helped her out. I went without, and without, why suffer so much? And then I find out later that she tells me that she always drinks alcohol every day. And I said to her, so what, even during that time when I gave you that $50? She goes, yes. I said, oh, okay, so you could have just not bought alcohol and you would have had money. But for her, she felt like she was poor if she didn't have money for alcohol. But I misinterpreted her words as she actually had no money and she had 2 kids. So I just assumed she had no food in the house. She had plenty of food in the house. She just couldn't afford, she had to reduce her alcohol purchasing for that fortnight. And she had to reduce some of her, she had some bills. Anyway, I just misinterpreted what she said as if she actually had nothing and she was in real high need. So I actually went hungry. I went without. And she just had some extra alcohol. She was able to keep buying her alcohol for that week and a half. That was a big blow, but it was good. I needed to hear it. I needed to hear what she considered poverty and a struggle. And I needed to look at why did I feel like I had to give her. And I made it that I suffered very badly. Like, it was a really hard week and a half, unnecessarily so. And did I benefit her? No, she just got to have her alcohol every day. So that was a big lesson. Same lady used to borrow my car and it had petrol in it and she'd return it empty. And then I couldn't drive my car for a week because it was on empty and I had no money for a week to put petrol in the car. But when I lent it to her, it was almost full. She brings it back, it's on empty, and I can't drive my own car. It's like, why would you do that? Why? And why did I keep helping that person? Why would someone do that? Toxic empathy, because I thought I was helping her out. No, I was just... And one time she came to borrow my car. I said, well, it's actually on empty, left over from the last time you drove it. I haven't been able to put petrol in it since you last used it. And so, no, you won't be able to borrow it because it's actually on empty. So I didn't even have the courage to say, if you put petrol in it, you can drive it. And she goes, oh, well, I'll put $10 in it. So she did. She put $10 in it, drove it, brought it back, and it was on empty again. So she didn't even think to maybe put in an extra $5, because when she borrowed it the week before, it was half full. And that's a that I used to let myself all the time. Like, seriously, all the time. And then you just look back on that and you go, okay, what's my lesson in that? And so cars just turned up. I'm just going to see if they've got a dog. Stay near. Alvin, stay near. There's little Alvin and Zena. I just had to see if this car's got a dog in it. Stay near, come on. My dogs are really friendly. They're not aggressive at all. I just don't have the leads with me. Come on. I'll go back this way. Come on. Come on, this way. Come on, quick, quick. I'll just give a chance for that car to leave, and I'll wrap this thingo up. The purging and releasing, the releasing, surrendering and purging, transmuting. This is something that I realise can only happen when we feel completely safe, or when we're being activated, which is what I've been sharing with a lot of you this whole YouTube channel. I had an activation process occur in me. The activation process was a lot of my infantile memories came up, and I'm talking about I couldn't crawl. I couldn't even crawl. So my memories, the incest memories from when I was a tiny little baby were coming up around this time last year. Now, the reason they came up was because I was safely in my exquisite beloveds and I dream home, and our dream was coming to fruition. So here we are, we're both activated, we're both stepping in a leap of faith. Stay now, come on. We're both stepping up into a leap of faith. You know, godly ordained lovers finally uniting, not just as a couple, but as a married couple, starting our dream, which we've been talking about for 4 or 5 years, on and off, here, there, with the push-pull dynamic. So here we are, living this dream. And of course, as I've shared with many of you before, the cracks came in very quickly. They were very clear. And in hindsight, as I've shared many times over, it was because both of us were being activated and our shadows were being, our deep our trauma wounds were coming to the surface because we'd both taken that huge leap of faith. And we were basically living our dream, which activated both of our shadow trauma wounds and brought them all to the surface. Coincided with the mandates kicking in, being denied takeaway coffee because we both honour our body. We both completely acknowledged and honoured our body and didn't do any of that tyranny crap that the government was trying to put on everyone. Stay there, come on. So we were denied basic services, basic rights, denied all sorts of services, medical, takeaway coffee, you name it. Horrendous way to live. It was actually a really horrible, horrible time. Plus we're adjusting to a new town, a new country town, a new life. We both are on the spectrum. I believe we're both on the autism spectrum. We both find change really challenging. I organise. If I don't have organisation around me, I suffer and struggle so much. Everything was chaotic. As a lot of you know, I had so many physical injuries, I could barely move, and yet I had 99.9% of the responsibility of everything. Why did I take that on? Completely unbalanced. I was being a people pleaser. I was being a doormat to myself. I wasn't standing up for my rights. We needed a holiday. We needed to we needed to actually just go and do something relaxing. We ought to have had a honeymoon. We ought to have just gone away. We should have just, I know we had all the mandates kicking in and our camper van wasn't working, but we could have still gone in a tent. We could have made it happen, but we didn't. So I've discussed this in but this is like a self-love. This is like a self-boundaries. This is where toxic empathy steps in. I'm like, oh, we need to have a secure home. And I just worked. I killed myself. There was an analogy that a friend of mine gave. He says, you're a seized engine, a car with a seized engine, pushing down the accelerator. The wheels are turning, rubber's blowing everywhere, like the black rubber, because the car is seized, it will not move forward. And I'm still pressing the accelerator down to try to get the car moving. I've run out of oil, I've run out of petrol, it's a seized engine, and I'm still trying to go at fifth speed. And that analogy, that's when I went, okay, my body has completely broken. But at that time, I couldn't get the medical services that I need because at that time they expected you to wear a mask. And then a bit later, they did the stupid certificate thing. So I was denied basic medical services on principle that I'm not a robot. I will be not dictated to. Come on. Especially when it's all based on fears and lies and this and that, rah, rah. And my beloved was the same. He was denied basic services because he also wouldn't do it. Come on. So, yeah, it was a really hard time, okay? And at the time, I thought, are we under devil's attack? I didn't know what to do. And I should, the masculine feminine thing that I keep wanting to talk about, I let my masculine dominate, so I went to distorted masculinity. So my inner masculine, because I didn't have an active alpha masculine in 3D, stepping up and doing basic masculine activities, I, as a 3D female, took on the masculine role, which meant my femininity got distorted. So my masculinity and my femininity distorted. Come on, Alvin, Zena, This is terrible. This is where mental health issues step in. A lot of us who are unbalanced is because our masculine and feminine inside of us is unbalanced. Come on, Zena, Alvin. Come on. Zena, Alvin. Come on. Zena, Alvin. Excuse me. Got to find where they are. Come on. Zena, Alvin. Come on. Did you hear that bird? Isn't that cute? It was copying my whistle. Isn't that adorable? Come on, Zena, Alvin. If they don't turn up soon, I'll have to shut the YouTube down. Come on. Come on. Zena, Alvin. Come on. Zena, Alvin. Come on. Thank you. Took way too long. There they are. Did you see them? Little buggers are in front of me. But they must have been at least a kilometre ahead. Okay, stay near. Stay near. Stay near. Come on. Well done, darling. Well done, my love. So basically, I can put this hat back on because the, what do you call it? The, sorry. The wind's gone. So basically the masculine-feminine imbalance, which is something I've been wanting to talk about for a long time, which I've been learning a lot about, that is actually the beginning of a lot of mental health issues. So this is more and more, this YouTube channel is going to go into that, because I'm learning so much about that, and I think it's the crux of so many of our problems. Distorted masculinity and femininity within ourselves, and distorted masculinity, femininity energy within the other, whether they're male or female, and the interaction that those distorted masculine, feminine energies within each other have with the other. And then you can bring transactional analysis into it, which is the parent, adult, child dynamic in the light and the dark. So 6 different dynamics that someone can be in, and depending on their dynamic, and your dynamic depends on the interaction. So it's very important knowing where we're at. Like, are we in healthy child? Are we in critical parent? Are we in enlightened adult? You know, this is really important, as well as looking at, are we unbalanced within our masculine, feminine? So that's one side of it. And the other side of it is, are we being activated? Are we being activated are we being activated with our inner trauma wounds? Like, are we in a twin flame dynamic with someone? Are we in a karmic dynamic with someone? So you can take it to that level as well. And then what actually happens is, I know this is all hard work. I know this is very challenging. Trust me, I know, because I've been living it. And my counsellor said to me, it's just an ongoing process. Like, she's 54. She's a counsellor. She's a trained counsellor, trauma-informed, trained counsellor with birth of origin trauma and marriage counselling. And her husband does addiction counselling for gaming and drugs. So they're a very skilled couple. They both have grown up with really healthy parenting, and she, on a regular basis, has to continually keep looking at how to have a healthy relationship within herself and in reaction, interplaying with everyone around her. So when she said that to me today, she's basically saying, Nadina, you're doing really well. You are doing so well. I am da 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 da. And she doesn't go through the same levels of despair that I go through, because she hasn't got the same levels of trauma. She still, however, goes through those times of confusion about herself and how to be in the world. So, oh my gosh, this is such good news. And I really have faith that this is, because I've been to quite a few counsellors in my life, and I haven't yet met a counsellor. I've met a couple of counsellors in my life that have really left a beautiful lot of wisdom within me and helped me grow in a really good way. But out of all the different counsellors I've been with over my years, and I first started going from memory when I was 15 or something, since I was a teenager, out of all the different mental health people I've gone to, just a handful of people that I thought actually merited being in that position and actually did something of use. I have actually had a lot of counselling and been with a lot of therapy people who've done a lot of damage with me and to me. And it's really renowned that a lot of mental health people actually do a lot of damage. And I've been learning a lot about narcissism lately, and how horrifying, how many counsellors actually add to the narcissistic abuse. When someone's a victim of narcissistic abuse, which is so many people, they actually, counsellors don't get it. They're not trained in it. So it's something that's getting more, that's why you'll see on the internet now, more and more people are discussing narcissism, because it's getting more and more openly discussed, the damaging impacts of it, and also what the narcissist actually looks like in public compared to what they look like in private. This is actually something that's becoming more and more openly discussed, just like in many ways it's getting more and more acceptable to discuss mental health issues because of a trauma childhood. So it's getting more and more acceptable now to say to someone, like, this is slightly off track, but for example, when I'm having a vertigo attack and I'm in public and I feel like I'm going to faint, or I feel like I look like a druggie because I'm going all woozy and I go like I'm about to fall, I'm just grabbing onto the nearest thing I can find to stabilise myself, to work out what's up and down, left and right, because everything goes spinning. You don't know what's left, what's right. No, everything's it's horrible. It's absolutely horrific. I actually now, the first person that comes anywhere near me, I say, I'm having a vertigo attack. Just to anyone, the first person that comes anywhere near me as it's happening. And every time I say that, someone puts their arm out immediately. Immediately they put their arm out and I grab onto their arm. How easy is it to say, I'm having a vertigo attack, or I feel like I'm about to vomit, or I'm having a panic attack right now. So when people are having anxiety or panic attack, they can't breathe, right? So they just need someone to stabilise them while they get their breath back. It's really easy to reach out for support. People in general, I believe, want to be of service. They want to help. People, I believe, want to step up. I believe most people in our society really, I've still got this very idealistic viewpoint of people and I still believe people are good. I keep reading all this research that's saying how many people are not. They're evil and they're soulless, and you got to know when to just shut someone out and cut someone off and not give of that person. And like I even had God say, the devil is coming to collect in regards to this particular person that's trying to do so much damage in my exquisite beloved's life. Wow, this person is next notch evil, some evil I've never, and I already knew this person was evil before my husband and I were even lovers and before we even got married. Like, this person has been creating evil in my beloved's life from pretty much probably from the day they first met. And when I pray for this person, fervently pray for this person, like, please, can you let them get some peace and love and kindness in their heart, and let them realise they don't have to have so much fear, and they can be loved for who they are. They can show who they really are. They don't have to try all these manipulation, domination, schemes and tactics and everything like that. They can actually just show who they really are. Well, one of the times I was doing one of these fervent prayers, I got told, pray if you wish, because I know that's the type of person you are. Just realise the devil is coming to collect that person. And I burst into tears and I shared it with a few friends, and we all said, isn't it sad when you have to realise that someone has gone that far to the devil, that God has even put up, they've gone too far. They've actually gone too far. And I realised why God's teaching me this lesson, because I have to learn that not everyone is redeemable. Not everyone can come to the light. Like, we have to know when to put up a really clear, firm boundary. And when someone lives their life in their heart and they're, they just want love and peace everywhere, and they just want everyone to be living their full potential and living in their full heart, and letting their limitations go, and just living in the world of possibility, and come on, be brave, Don't worry about what people think of you. Don't worry about, image and all that sort of crap. Let all that story go. It's just a narrative. It's a limiting narrative. Let it go. For goodness sakes, let fear go and step into love. Step into the world of possibility and dreaming and visioning and, creativity, and step up into your godly gifts, and step up into making this world amazing, not just for you, but for everyone. Wow. It's an exhausting experience when you keep seeing people go, nah, I think I'll stay small. Nah, I think I'll just keep doing what I know. Nah, I'll just keep this narrative. Or nah, I'll actually even, which is something that I've come to learn in this last few years of my life, that people will actually resort, it's blowing my mind what people will do to stay small. They will actually create a story. They will actually create such a story. They're actually prepared to concoct the most outrageous scenarios and try to purport and pretend and claim that this is reality. and get as many people on board to believe that that's reality in order for them to be able to run back to something and stay tiny and small, even though it means it's their demise, it's their mental health ruin, and it's goodness knows what else it does, our physical health, and it just stops them from living God's glory. It stops them from moving onwards and upwards. And I keep seeing this. I've seen it so many times with so many people, and that breaks my heart. I was speaking to my counsellor about that today, and we're talking about it, and she says, well, what it is these people, they have a barricade of fear, but for them that fear looks like morality, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, how it should be, what they're being told it's got to be like. It's like a box. It's like it's like this cage. It's a cage, and it's a very limiting parameter. But in that, they feel safe. They know what the boundaries are. They know what the borders are. They know what the narrative is. They know what the doctrine is. They know what the status quo is, and they know if they just keep doing this, then it's always going to be like that. And so in that they go, well, I don't have to actually do anything or be anything or even think. I can just get up, eat some food, sleep, go to the toilet, watch some TV, be pious at church. Like go to church and say, I went to church today. I'm a good little Christian, or that type of thing. But they're not really looking into what God wants, which is for them to surrender to God, step out of the camp, cross the precipice, go to the cliff. You know that story. We were sharing that the other day at church. You go in, God's given you the promised land. It's just over there. You just got to get out of your tent, cross the desert, like we're talking about 3 meters or 4 meters. Oh, but there's giants over there that will kill us. God's promised you that land. Why would there be giants that can kill you if God's given you that promised land? So the people go, oh, there's giants over there. I have to stay here in this little tiny tent, and and then they created, 10,000 years of the lost tribes because of their fear. So, wow, peoples, read the Bible, and it says everywhere, be brave, step out of your comfort zone, honour your God's gift, look at what God's promised you. Learning so much about this, everyone. It's just huge. So my counsellor today made it really clear that empaths, because they have no boundaries, people feel completely safe around them, and they say anything and everything to that person. They subconsciously think they can do anything. That's why people love her so much as a counsellor, and why she believes everyone just flocks to me to share stories with me, testimonies. It's been happening my whole life. People just tell me the deepest, darkest secrets, to the point where I've had to say, whoa, hang on a minute. You did not ask my consent. I'm not a trained counsellor yet. You didn't ask my consent. We didn't put any parameters in place. Hang on a minute. What about some trigger alerts? Hang on. What about honouring my boundaries of my reaction? Like I'm a survivor, like I've got triggers, And hey, hang on a minute. If we're going to have this conversation, we need to limit it to maybe an hour, not 8 hours or 6 hours or 2 hours, and not you just come in whenever you want. Blah. I had to learn that the hard way, to say to people, whoa, hang on a minute. I'm not a trained counsellor yet. It was actually from that I actually started doing the counselling degree at uni and blah, blah, blah. And even then, I don't want to be one of those counsellors that talk things. I don't think talk therapy works. I don't believe talk therapy works. I believe it's got to be kinesthetic based. That's why I believe in writing therapy. That's why I've decided ages ago, drawn. I've always been called to write. Then it gets more and more drawn to the writing therapy. And I'm talking to people constantly about writing therapy and the process of physical movement, which is why I believe the first moment of the brain going foggy or the body going to shut down, we've got to start moving. The amount of times I've fallen into the deepest of depressions and I just go, okay, I've got to force myself to move anything. I'll just do a bit of gardening, or I'll just go for a walk, or I've got to do something to move my body, because it's through that process of moving that my brain can start to settle. But what I've come to realise from being a Christian is that I've got to get out of my brain, out of my mind. I've been learning that it's really imperative that we actually get out of our mind and into our heart. So it's the heart space that's God. Mind is ego, and mind is where the devil can kick in. God is in the heart. So the minute we go into our heart space, we're going to make godly decisions. That's the process of surrender that I've been letting people know. It's the process of going into the heart, and the heart's painful. The heart is where the pain is. That's where we are. That's where we are. We are in our heart, not in our mind. The mind is the construct of what we grew up with, what we got told. That little parameter, that little cage that so many people love to put themselves in because it feels so safe. It's really obvious to me why people want to stay there. It doesn't take the pain away of, I can see how beautiful their life can be if they could just open that cage door and move out and just trust. Have faith in this beautiful, amazing world that God's provided us. Have faith that you don't need to be in that cage to be safe. Have faith in showing who you truly are. Have faith in being brave, saying your real feelings, showing your true self. Don't worry about trying to fit in with the crowd. Oh, Zena, that hurt. She apologised with her eyes. They just bounced into my knees. As soon as she bounced into my knees, she looked at me with a sorry look, so I didn't chastise her. Anyways, so the releasing, surrendering and purging, transmuting the energy, this is what I've been doing a lot of lately, and it is not an easy journey, everyone. It is far from easy. However, what it does is it releases the childhood traumas. It releases on a cellular level the impact that the trauma had on us, and it really helps us. Like, I've shared this over and over again, and I realise this is the purpose, one of the purposes of my YouTube channel, and it will continue on because it's actually becoming a current theme in nearly every single conversation I have. A common question I'm getting lately is, how did you find this peace, Nadina? Wow, you're exuding, like instant compliment of where I'm at. Now, some of these people have known me for 15 or 20 years, and they're noticing something really profound and big in me that's completely like, Nadina, wow, you got there. What's going on? How'd you get there? Other people have just met me recently, and they're just thinking, they just say all these different adjectives, I think the word is, like describing words of how they perceive me. And I'm going, if you'd only known me 1 year ago, if you'd only seen me how I was 1 year ago, you probably wouldn't say half those things. And so this is, and not just the affirmations and the clarifications and the validation. I don't need validation. However, the confirmation of my growth process and where I'm at right now is affirming that this process of surrendering to God is the answer, the key to trauma healing. Because I can also... I'm just trying to work out where I put my keys. Oh, good Lord, I thought I'd lost my car keys for a second. I thought they were in my right pocket, but they're in my left. And I was like, no, I've lost the keys. I've really, really transmuted some really heavy, dark trauma. That's all I can say. Like, I have literally, and I'll give you an example of how I know this. The other day I was being abused. So I've had a real pattern of attracting people into my life who felt like it was their right to abuse me. I asked some friends why they, actually had some friends say to me, why do you think you keep attracting these experiences and these behaviours? And I said, it's the demon in the person, the demonic forces in the person is reacting to the godliness in me. When I worded that to my counsellor today, we unpacked it further, and she actually said, it's not just the godliness in you, it's not just that they see true empathy, true kindness, true love, true listenability, true someone in their true heart space, and they're on a really innate subconscious level, they're drawn to that, and they feel really safe around that energy. Some feel, if they're really honest with themselves, they feel safe, but then because they've gone to a space of feeling safe, it jitters them. It actually puts them off kilter, and they go, oh, what's this energy? What's this energy? Well, what's this energy? I don't know this energy. Oh, there's something wrong with that person. And they do all that crap. I'm sure you've all seen it. It's actually funny, but it's not. It's so sad because all the person has to do is go, wow, wow, I actually could feel safe more often in my life. I could open up to having authentic relationships in my life. I could open up to knowing who I am. I could open up to dreaming. I could open up to having an amazing life. Oh no, what does that involve? And the fear that kicks in when it's something that they don't know. So we're discussing this in my counselling today. She said, yeah, not just the godly fruits that people are on an intuitive level resonating with me. And so some of those people honour it, respect it long term or for a short while. Some just react to it immediately, like it's like a magnet, like it's either it's polarized. It's like attraction or repulsion. The repulsion is actually quite funny. You see it a mile away. It's actually funny. And you go, oh, you poor darling, and send out a prayer to the little darling. And then, but it's what's really bizarre, which is I was talking, stay now. What's really interesting is the people who open up to it and embrace it and go deep with it for a while, and then they get to a point of, oh no, where do I go from here? And you give them some ideas and feedbacks of how they can go further. And they get to this certain point where they go, no, I want to go back. I want to go back to what I know well, even though I've been complaining about that for years, or I know it's holding me back, or I know it's actually my demise. I'm going to go back. But they don't even consciously realise they're making that decision. They just do it by knee-jerk default reaction. And it is one of the most painful things to watch. It's one of the most painful things to see. It's just excruciating. And then they go back into that little small space, which is fear controlled. And they're going to go into depression, and they're going to... And then sometimes, they might come out of it again, and they might try to step up again, and they might try to involve me, for example, or someone else similar to me. And you can go into that pattern with that person for quite a while. But I have learnt that if someone wants to start to vision and go big with me, then go small. If they choose to go small in a respectful way, and they come back wanting me to be there for them when they grow big again, I will do so with really clear boundaries, because I now have self-love. If they abuse the F out of me and then wish to come back, and they don't acknowledge just how much they attacked me, I'm at the point, and I was speaking to the counsellor today, where I don't actually know if I want to re-engage with the people. This is self-love, because there's too many amazing people out there that are prepared to be brave and really make this life amazing and really utilise every second, every moment, every day to the full glory of what God intends for us to live. There are thousands of people out there like that, and that's who I choose to be around, you see? Self-love. Because they give back to me. It's like a balanced situation. It's like I deserve to be treated with honour and respect and love, just like I choose to treat others with honour, respect and love. On the whole, everyone needs to remember, and the counsellor was telling me this today, she said, we all have our breaking points and our fallibilities. We all have moments where we go into a space where we really need someone to hold us up and build us back up again. We all go through times of falling and failing and sinning. It's just what humans do. And true blue Christian humans acknowledge the fallibilities in humans and support each other through our fallibilities and back each other up. Back each other to heal ourselves, forgive the others. It's just a world of love, surrender, forgiveness, acceptance, integrity. And it's about that humility process of acknowledging our part in everything, everyone acknowledging their part in everything, everyone being mindful with their word choices. In their accountability process, sometimes we slip. This is something that everyone needs to really accept, which my counsellor was getting me to accept. We all have moments of weakness. It's just how humans are. It's in the Bible. That's why we have to constantly pray to God for strength and strength and courage, protection and guidance, in order to ensure that we sin less and less and less, because God knows we're always going to sin, and God's there to make sure throughout every moment of us failing. We go into doubt, we go into fear, we go into reaction. We have a moment of being so depleted, we might, become really volatile in a moment of fear. Like, so, sometimes when we're in fear, we actually react from a place of terror, and we react like an animal who's fighting for their very life. Like, I've worked with dementia people who have schizophrenia. They are some of the most dangerous clients I've ever had. Really frail lady with schizophrenia, psychosis and dementia, absolutely deathly, because she was terrified for her very life. But every act of what she did was forgivable because she was coming from a place of terror. We just had to work out how to de-escalate. None of the RNs knew what to do. None of the nurses knew what to do. Hardly any of the carers knew what to do. But you come from a place of empathy. You come from a place of just understanding, going deep. That's why empathic people in the carer world are so important. But it's the empaths in the carer world that get discarded very quickly because we become what you call the whistleblowers. We do the incident reports is to try to protect everyone, and we're the people who the system tries to kick out very quickly because we don't do the corruption. So that aside, everyone, I'm going to wrap this up. I just want to say I learnt today that true empaths, people flock to because they feel completely safe with them, because of their, not everyone flocks to them, but a lot of people flock to them because they feel completely safe around them, because the empaths themselves don't have good, clear, strong boundaries. Like, even my beautiful counsellor at 54, very skilled woman, still doesn't have clear boundaries. Alvin, Zena. And then what happened was she said, and unfortunately, and this is where it gets really sad, it's because they perceive the empaths on a subconscious level as having no boundaries, that when they go into fear mode, they feel like they can attack to high heaven and go through the jugular, because they know that that person is safe to attack. They know that person isn't actually going to, like, they just feel like they can let loose all their darkness on this person. As in, they subconsciously feel like they can release their trauma. Hello, darling. That they can release their trauma onto this person. She's had it happen to her as well, not to the same level that I have, because she's been in a more of a formal situation, like in a room, like in an established counselling type session. I've had it in just with in outdoor environments, not in a formal setting, and it's pretty hard to bring some safety parameters in sometimes under those conditions. I was talking about a lot of experiences I've been having and the patterns, and where does she think it's coming from, and she unpacked it, that people feel safe to abuse me. They feel safe to throw their darkness at me because they know, one, I can handle the dark. They intuitively, on a subconscious level, know I can handle the darkest of the traumas. They just intuitively know that. So they can share and express themselves in such a way that would not do with any other. And two, they have this subconscious belief system, thought pattern, that they can get away with a lot with me, and that I will just absorb it and take it and not retaliate. So I said, well, how on earth am I going to protect myself from this in the future? So it is about seeing the red flags before it gets to that point, and that's where the self-love comes into it. Self-love comes into it from finding out who we really are, what we won't accept, what we won't tolerate. So I've got a lot to learn still with how far I'll go with letting someone trust me, or how far I'll go with letting someone use me as a counsellor, even though I'm not a counsellor yet. Like, I've got to get very clear with my boundaries. And when I get really, really clear with my boundaries, and I get that feminine, masculine distortion in place, and when I get that, and I keep doing more and more healing on my traumas, so I get more and more self-assured, more and more self-loving, more and more self-accountable with my self-boundaries, my self-respect. When my self-respect, self-love, self-accountability becomes really high, my self-boundaries will actually get into such a nice, firm, clear space that I can still be an empath within godly parameters, within healthy parameters, which is what my counsellor's learning. She's still learning it now. And she said to me, it's an ongoing learning lesson. And I said, okay, so the truth of the matter is I have to always basically do a debrief with a godly, trauma-informed person to constantly get clarification what's healthy boundaries. And she says, pretty much, yeah. It's like we've always got to be in communication with people about what I've just experienced, what I'm in the blah 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 blah, everything I just said. So it's like the peer evaluation. It's like getting constant. She said it's constant learning. It's constant learning. It's just constant learning. So this is fascinating stuff for everyone. Like, I'm not sure if you've seen the progress from the beginning of this YouTube to where I am now. I'm at a place of understanding, and this is what my counsellor said, there's actually very little wrong with you, Nadina. You're actually really amazing. You're doing really well. Like if I had a business or a certificate or this or that, and I was in that professional world already, everything would be fine because I would have the label, I would have the set qualifications, I would have the peer evaluations, the peer reviews, I would have the peer debriefings, and every counsellor, every mental health professional does. Most good, healthy professional people get a lot of professional support in order to stay in that industry. And most of them are in that industry because of things like learnt experience, or they initially go into it as because of learnt experience or a sense of area of interest, or some of them are just in it because they think it's good money, goodness knows why, but those people, they're the ones that do a lot of damage. Point of the story, and some people just do quick, short courses and get a quick certificate and they put it on their wall and they do not know what they're doing. Hey, come back. Look at this. Look at where they are. Come back. Come on. Come on. Come on. Quick, quick. Quick, quick. Come on. Quick, quick. Watch them. I think I'll end it on this. Watch them. Swim, swim, swim. Beautiful creatures that they are. Look at that. So majestic. Beautiful. Look at their smiles. Woohoo! Woohoo! Yeah. Woohoo! And now they're going to shake on me. Don't you dare. No. Oh, good Lord. Okay, I am going to wrap this up because my little darlings have been very well behaved. And if I push it too far, I don't think they will. They're getting there. They're getting there. 8 months and 17 months. Takes 3 years to train bull mastiffs. 3 years. Halfway through it with Albany. They're doing great. Anyways, yeah, so much learning. So I hope that so much to share, more than what I've discussed today. I'm so looking forward to when I eventually start writing, and I'm going to be getting other people to add to my writings as well, because I'm meeting so many amazing people. I haven't even discussed with you this party I went to on Saturday. Wow. Next YouTube live, I'm going to discuss in detail, because that's what this YouTube channel, I was actually going, the next time I do a live, I'm going to discuss that amazing party I went to. And I haven't even gone there because I was just discussing what I learned at my counselling today. But some of what I learned at my counselling today was literally based on what I learned at this party today. This amazing party I went to on Saturday. There's amazing people I met. Wow, and I'm just meeting more and more and more people like this. It's just astounding, and it's making me realise when you have good boundaries and you just only want to be around good people, and by good people, that's not a good thing to say, but that's actually, yuck. Sorry, I'm gonna get this mud off my seat now. That's not actually. I just want to say that I'm not saying they're good or bad people. It's not a good way of saying it. People who inspire me. Sorry, I'm just picking up some rubbish off the ground. Got the doggies in the car, and I bought them some treats yesterday, and I left them at home on the kitchen table. Look at them. Aren't they beautiful? So basically, I just want to say that I'm meeting people who inspire me. Like, wow, I'm so excited. And look, one of the reasons why they're even interested in knowing me is because I'm becoming more inspiring, because I'm someone that's of a higher ilk, let's just say that, because I'm healing myself. Yeah. Oh, so exciting. All right, so here we go. There's Albany. Woohoo! There's little Xenobita. Woohoo! And we're going to go drive back to my exquisite beloveds in my home and my 3 little fur babies, my exquisite beloveds in my home and our fur babies' homes. And I'm going to chop up some kindling, get prepared for a cold night. Yes, we are, Alvin. We're going to have a fire tonight. And I'm going to have a rest because, you know, as I said, it's my premenopause. I'm premenopausal and I'm on my women's time, so I'm really tired. So I might just watch a movie or something for an hour. And then I'm going to go to Bible study. And then tomorrow's a whole new day. So God's bless. I trust you have an inspiring day. So much more to share on this topic. It's such a big topic, everyone. It's so fascinating. I'm just constantly learning. Like today I learned so much. It's like nearly every conversation I have recently is teaching me something so amazing. And I've come to realize that the reason why I'm having these amazing conversations, I might just turn this off for a second, hang on. The reason why I'm having these amazing conversations is because I'm in environments where I'm meeting people who are self-honoring, self-loving, got good boundaries. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful. I could talk about this for hours. It is exhausting too. I woke up with depression. I still have a bit of depression because of the grey sky, but I'm constantly trusting and having faith in God and this journey and in my, you know, everything, like my YouTube channel, the future. Today I woke up with a doubt again. I had doubt. I have a lot of doubt about various things, there's a lot of things happening in my life that don't make sense. And so I just keep putting it in I just keep trusting, having faith constantly in God and God's journey for me. And having that perpetual faith and surrender. And every time something happens that knocks me off kilter, I'm going, okay, God, that's obviously I've got to learn something from that. So what is it that I need to learn? And for example, just quickly, something happened the other day that just knocked me completely off kilter. It shattered me to the core of my being. And I'm praying to God, what is it, God, that I needed to learn from that lesson? Why did that happen? And I got this really clear message. I need you to see that he doesn't have loyalty. He doesn't have loyalty. And then I had to really feel what that felt like for someone not to have loyalty for me. And then it's a friend of mine that I thought was a real true blue friend. And then something happened and the person didn't, and there was a situation occurring where something was happening and a true loyal friend would have stepped in to protect me, but they didn't. They're so caught up in their own trauma, they actually allowed me to be abused in front of their face. And I was talking to my counsellor about it. She goes, it happens when they have that fear shield up. Oops, hang on. When they have that fear shield up, they don't know. They can't step up to protect themselves or another, or they just can't. They just don't know how to. But I have spoken to my counsellor a fair bit about this particular person, and I've been having my doubts about this particular friendship for quite a while now. And it's very interesting when someone shows no loyalty, and that's why I said to this friend of mine, where's the loyalty? I stood up for you, and that's why the attack on me got doubled, because I was standing up for you. If I hadn't have stood up for you, it wouldn't have gotten so hardcore. And yet then the attack increases because I was standing up for you, and you just in front of your face, you allow the person to abuse the F out of me. What does that say about our friendship? And this person just sitting there looking all, I said, are you feeling anything? He goes, I don't know. I said, oh, great answer. I don't know. It's like, for goodness sakes, I'm just like, I'm sorry. I feel pretty done with our friendship, hey. I'm feeling like that's it. That's like almost like the last. That's to me. I've been putting up with too much crap from you for too long now, and I don't. I can't. I would never treat you like that. I would never treat a friend like that. I would never, like, there's no friendship. I basically said, where's the friendship? Where is the friendship? Because where's the respect? Where's the loyalty? Where's the care? Oh, wow. And that's a tough, heartbreaking situation to be in. So my counsellor basically said to me, yeah, no, it's good to know. It's good to, and God, when I said to God, what am I supposed to learn from this? I'm showing you that he has no loyalty to you. That were the words I heard. So with that feeling, with that thought, with that realization, I'm coming to realize that loyalty is a big thing. Loyalty is a big thing. And if someone shows no loyalty, we have to put them in that box. Well, not that box, but that we have to sort of not shut our heart down, but we have to somehow. It's really hard for me to shut my heart down to someone. I find it really hard to basically go, that's it. Now there's a fence between. I find this very difficult, and this is my counsellor said, you've got to learn how to do it. You've got to learn how to know where to put. I can't remember. She didn't say walls, boundaries. You have to know when to put really firm boundaries in place, like really firm boundaries in place. She says, this is one of your biggest lessons. And then she starts to say, this is one of mine too. I'm learning all the time. You're doing great, rah, rah. And then I was able to say, thank you so much for affirming to me that I'm not an F up, that I'm actually doing really well. Because if you're still struggling with working out boundaries and you've had a safe childhood, a beautiful long-term marriage with an amazing husband, and you're in the field of mental health and you still struggle with creating boundaries, it indicates to me that must be quite difficult to do when one is an empath. She goes, it so is. It's just constant learning. So that's what I want to share with you all today, is this process of creating healthy boundaries does come from the process of releasing strong feelings from our heart, being our heart, acknowledging those feelings, releasing those feelings, surrendering to God in that process of releasing, because we cannot release them on our own. As a human, our ego keeps kicking in. We cannot do it on our own. God has to help us release. We humanly can't get rid of resentment. And I don't believe we can humanly also forgive. I believe it's with God's grace that we are able to embody those fruits. I don't believe we as humans have the ability to do it without our ego kicking in, some sort of narrative and story kicking in. From that process of surrendering, which is what I've been doing for many months now, then the purging happens, and the purging is extremely unpleasant. It feels like burning, like the body's burning up, the brain's burning up. It feels like your heart's going to burst. It feels like it's actually very painful feeling. Like it physically hurts, it mentally hurts. It comes with migraines. You feel like you're gonna have a heart attack. Your body's aching. Your temperature goes up. You sweat. That's why baths are really good. Walks are really good. It's a very unpleasant. It's a physiological experience. So basically, the purging involves a surrender, a cellular surrender within our cells of our body and our brain. So it's a very physical, kinesthetic process. It's a very unpleasant process, and it's a very required process, because when we let all that out of our body and our minds, then we become clean. Then we purify ourselves. Then we become receptive to God's true blessings. And then we have a vessel that's ready to be filled with the good stuff, the godly gifts. And that's where the transmutation occurs. That's where the alchemizing occurs. That's what people are noticing in me. The surrendering and the purging, which is excruciating, highly necessary and required. It's called being humbled to your knees, being broken. You got to get completely broken, fracturated in every way. Every part of your egotistical human identity or humanness, like this blah, 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 anything to do with ego, needs to be shattered to its very, and then rebuilt in a godly manner. Rebuilt, ground up from that process of surrender. That's the transmutation process, everyone. And that's the alchemizing process. And then we transform ourselves, we hone ourselves into the exquisite gem that we are. We get honed. We get trained and honed in God's glory to be God's warrior. And we become the beautiful, radiant gem of a being, of a godly child that God always intended for us to be. So I'll leave you with that. Mwah. Albany and Zena are key now. They're both where's little Zena Beaner? Where is she? Where are you, Zena? Oh, she's there. She's sleeping. So basically, we're going to going home now. Lots of love, God's blessings, and we will continue this conversation. It's a big one. I said to my counsellor, I actually think that this might be what God wants me to be talking about, because my whole life has been about talking about lived experience, and it's really, really scary because I keep meeting narcissistically abused people, like people who are victims of narcissistic abuse. And I'm seeing a common thread in nearly everyone I know, except for the very few people that I've come to realise. I shared this on a previous live. Me and some people, we have similarities of the way we view ourselves and the world and this and that, rah-rah, and our healing process and rah-rah. And then I came to the realisation that these people didn't grow up with narcissistic siblings or parents, me and them. And that actually took away a huge chunk of trauma that people who grew up with narcissistic abusive siblings or parents have had to experience. And then I've come to realize, is this why I keep surrounding myself by people who have actually had to deal with some of the most horrifying narcissistic abuse I've ever, and then I, on the sideline, get brought into that, and somehow I get targeted. They try to use me as a target, but actually it's the beautiful ones who I know who are actually the victims. And I can see it from a completely different perspective. And it was only from meeting these other people who've got a similar perspective as me that I was able to realize, is this because our sense of identity never got tainted and we've been able to allow our identity to develop? We never got our identity thwarted like these poor darlings. Come to learn a lot about narcissism in the last year or so. And it's saying to this counselor, it must be a part of what God wants me to learn and teach. So, and she goes, pretty much. And being an empath, we feel the people's traumas. This is where it gets really excruciating. We keep wanting to step in and help them and take their pain away, but it's actually got to be the people that do it themselves. They've got to get out of their cage of fear. It's them that's got to open the cage door. We can open the door for them, but they've got to come out. Let's just put it that way. Lots of love. God bless. And 1 hour and 37 minutes and 50 seconds. Okay, God bless. See you next time. Mwah. Love yous all. Keep well. Keep well. Love you. Bye. It's a tiny button up the top if you're wondering. It's hard to get. Okay. Very hard. See ya. Woohoo. Bye.